Um, let's see. Here's one, and this is interesting because I don't think you've ever done this, but this question is if during the creation of a documentary, you were given the opportunity to meet someone, for example, Phil, in an in-person interview, would you? This is assuming that Phil agreed to it, it wasn't cost prohibitive, etc. Do you believe that a first-hand account from Phil would have maybe contributed to the narrative? Now, in some extent, you did do this. You asked me a few questions directly on the documentary, but you've never actually done like an in-person interview. Would you ever think that would add something?
Yeah, like that adds a tremendous amount. So that what that does is it takes someone out of like their comfort zone, right? You can't run away really from an in-person interview. I mean, you can walk away, but it gives more control to the person recording, right? Like there's more to examine, right? Like, and that kind of like goes back to the Mike Clum thing. Do you think you'll like restart that, right? Will you go ever reach out to him again to like reinvigorate the project?
Yeah, a lot of people have asked me that question, and at the time that Mike Clum was interested in doing this documentary about me, he had just come off doing the Boogie documentary, and we all saw that, and we knew that that was a certain kind of vibe where it was like, look at this guy, he's miserable life, and all the things that he's going through. And I made it very clear to Mike. I said, if we do this documentary, I don't want it to be that vibe. It has to be a completely different kind of a vibe because that's not me. Like, I'm not a woe is me guy. I don't want, it's not a pity party documentary. And he was totally on board for that, 100%. But as we started to get into it, I just realized it was going to be such a tremendous amount of time and effort and work and investment on my behalf. Not only was I going to have to be, trying to maintain my work schedule as it is, but also taking all this time out to film, taking time away from spending with my wife and stuff. And at that point, I didn't really feel like it was going to benefit me enough, or if even if it did, it was too much of a risk to invest that much. Now, like if I were to do a documentary now, I feel like it would be different because now you've done this doc on me. I've fessed up to the biggest stupid thing, the WWE champions. And now, even though obviously it would be addressed in a documentary like that, I almost feel like it would be freed up to do better stuff for different topics or different things. Like one of the things that Mike really wanted to do, he wanted to do a day in the life of DSP where you just follow me around. You see how I work. You follow me to the grocery store. You see me, grabbing stuff off the shelf. And says that's going to humanize you. It's going to show you in a different light. No one ever sees you. They just see you as this guy ranting at a camera or whatever. And it would be great to see that. Now I feel like that kind of content would be taken in a better context because people aren't just thinking in the back of their head. So this is the guy who's lying to us constantly, right? Um, you're right. Like I think that in person interaction or seeing that personal side, have an in-person interview or behind the scenes would actually add to something. And maybe in long term I would consider it. The thing that's really turning me off from doing anything with Mike right now is he said he's going to do something with EDP, or at least he was. It's weird because I don't think there's been an update on this documentary he's doing on EDP in a very long time. And I was like, I definitely don't really want to be like the guy wedged between Boogie and EDP. If he did a documentary on someone else and it wasn't just such heavy negative topics, then I would probably consider it. But at this point in my life, like I'm kind of having a little bit of a comeback. People are seeing me in a different light now because I've had interactions with guys like Kino Casino, and I've just had a really positive interview with Keemstar. Uh, I don't really want to be wedged between two really negative documentaries that this guy has put out. But maybe in the future, I think in the future it might be something to re-examine as a different kind of a idea. So, what do you think about that? Do you think I should do it?
I think it'd be cool. I think, well, the thing about these kind of videos, and especially like Mike Clum, I feel that he kind of lets the documentary, right, speak for itself. He lets people commenting on it, and like that. That's like a real fancy documentary, right? And I think that these things, like, kind of like you have, you don't know what the documentary is until you really have all the footage and can really sift through it to get like kind of like a theme. I don't think there is going to be like any, I guess, shoehorning of like any direction. It just speaks for itself. And if you feel like confident in your comeback and whatever, I think it could be a good idea to really reach out to him. I don't know if he's still up for it, but it wouldn't hurt, right?
Sure.